Fog crawled over the cracked asphalt road like a living thing, swallowing the world in a pale, ghostly shroud. The only sound was the steady hum of Max Holden's car as it cut through the darkness toward a place that most people refuse to even name aloud after midnight: Ravenhill Asylum. Max wasn't a thrill-seeker. He was a content creator, a skeptic, known online for debunking haunted locations and exposing fake ghost stories. "No spirits, no curses, just science," was his tagline. Tonight, he wanted to prove once and for all that Ravenhill was nothing more than another abandoned ruin. His live stream audience was already growing, thousands of comments flashing across his phone screen. "You won't last 10 minutes, bro. This is where people went missing, man. Turn back. Bring it cross, haha." Max grinned. "Guys, it's just a building. Concrete, steel, and a lot of imagination. Let's make history tonight." He parked near the rusted front gate. The massive iron doors were chained, but bent enough to squeeze through. As he stepped inside, his flashlight beam cut through the dense fog, revealing the faded sign: Ravenhill State Psychiatric Hospital, closed since 1987. The air was heavy. Too still. Max's footsteps echoed off the broken pavement, the sound bouncing strangely, like the building was listening. Inside, the asylum was worse than he expected. The walls were peeling, covered with black mold and graffiti. Wheelchairs sat overturned in the hall. Patient records littered the floor, some pages half-burned, names unreadable. The smell of rust and rot mixed in the air. He kept talking to the camera to stay calm. "All right, this is the main corridor. Looks like... Wait, what's this?" A single hospital bed stood in the middle of the hallway, its straps still attached. Something dark stained the mattress. The camera light flickered. Then, a faint sound. A whisper. So quiet, Max thought it was the wind, but the air was completely still. He turned his camera toward the sound. "Is someone there?" Silence. He exhaled, laughing nervously. "All right, nice one, chat. Probably may echo." But when he checked his phone, the live stream chat was frozen. No signal, no viewers, just static. "Damn connection," he muttered, turning the phone off and switching to his GoPro. He continued deeper into the asylum. The hallways twisted and branched like veins. Faded signs read Ward C, Rehabilitation, Morgue. He hesitated, then chose Ward C. The door creaked open. Rows of empty rooms lined the corridor. Beds bolted to the floor. Scratches on the walls, hundreds of them. Some looked like words. He raised his flashlight closer. There was writing carved into the paint. Over and over, one phrase: "Stop the whispers." The letters were jagged, desperate, some carved with nails. A noise echoed from behind him, soft, like footsteps dragging. He froze. Slowly turned his camera back down the hallway. Nothing. He laughed shakily into the mic. "All right, somebody's definitely watching me now. Good prank, guys." But the sound came again, closer. One dragging step. Then another. "Hello?" No answer. Only the faint, hollow breathing that wasn't his own. He aimed his flashlight toward the sound, and the light caught something, a pale hand gripping the edge of a doorframe. He froze, his heart thundered. Then the hand slipped away into the darkness. His flashlight flickered again. The whisper returned louder now, layered,
dozens of voices whispering in overlapping tones. "Don't wake them." When the lights died, the silence that followed was suffocating. Max's breathing echoed like thunder inside his skull. He clicked the flashlight on again, nothing but static fuzz. He hit it against his hand. The beam returned, weak and trembling. The hallway looked different now. The door he entered through was gone. The walls seemed closer, like the building itself had shifted. He whispered to the camera, even though the live stream was long dead. "Okay, hallucination from stress, maybe? Just keep filming, keep moving." His voice sounded small in the dark. He turned a corner, and there it was. A set of stairs leading down, marked by a broken sign, "Morgue." He hesitated. Even through his rational brain, something deep in his gut screamed not to go down there. But he had to prove this place wasn't haunted. Had to. As he descended, the air changed. The temperature dropped sharply, each breath a visible puff. The smell was unbearable. Wet concrete, rust, and something else. Sweet, rotting. At the bottom of the stairs, he found a heavy metal door hanging half open. Inside, the flashlight beam revealed a wide room lined with old storage drawers, the kind used for corpses. Most of them were closed. A few were not. His camera caught a reflection, a face, pale and distorted, flickering across the steel drawer surface. He swung the light around. Nothing there. He laughed shakily. Okay, nerves. It's just nerves." Then he saw the gurney in the center of the room. Straps hung loose, and on the floor next to it, a patient file, untouched by time. He knelt, picked it up, and brushed away the dust. The name on the front, Patient 113, Evelyn Hart. Admitted, 1986. Diagnosis? Auditory hallucinations, severe sleep deprivation. Claimed the whispers speak through the walls. Max flipped through the pages. The final entry made his stomach twist. Patient began hearing voices instructing her to open the lower chambers. Claims the whispers demand freedom. Subject unresponsive after sedation. Incident logged as termination. He looked up slowly. "The lower chambers?" he whispered. As if in answer, a cold gust of air blew across the room. The drawers rattled. One slid open with a metallic scream, then another, and another. Max backed toward the wall. "All right, this isn't funny anymore." The flashlight flickered again. In that split second of darkness, something moved behind one of the open drawers, a shape crawling out from the dimness. The beam steadied. A human figure, pale and thin as paper, was dragging itself across the floor, its face hidden under greasy hair, its mouth open and whispering something too fast to understand. Max dropped the camera. It clattered to the ground, still recording, tilted toward the gurney. The lens caught the figure standing now, twitching unnaturally, bones cracking as it straightened. He stumbled backward. "Stay back! I said stay!" The lights went out again. A scream tore through the dark. Then, silence. The camera kept rolling. Minutes later, it picked up faint movement. The figure crouched over the gurney, whispering into the lens. "More will come. We're never alone down here."
The deeper Ethan wandered into the asylum, the heavier the air became. The temperature dropped sharply, his breath forming faint clouds as he exhaled. He turned a corner and found himself standing before a wide steel door with the words, "Ward C, Isolation," barely visible beneath years of rust and grime. His flashlight trembled slightly in his hand. "This is it," he muttered to his camera. "They said this was where the worst patients were kept." He pushed the door open. It screamed in protest, the sound echoing down the empty hallway. Inside, the corridor stretched endlessly into darkness. Faded tiles cracked under his boots.
The smell of mold and something else, something rotten, filled his lungs. As he stepped forward, faint whispers began to crawl through the silence. At first, Ethan thought it was the wind, but then he heard his own name. Ethan. He froze. "Who's there?" he shouted. His voice bounced back at him, distorted, wrong, like someone mocking him from the dark. The flashlight flickered. For a brief moment, he saw shadows at the edge of his vision. Thin figures pressed against the walls, heads tilted, grinning. When the light steadied again, the corridor was empty. Ethan's breathing quickened. "It's just my mind playing tricks," he whispered into the camera, though his voice shook. "Old buildings, acoustics, nothing more." He moved on, trying to keep his focus on the recording. The hallway opened into a wide room. Rusted hospital beds stood in rows, most overturned. Chains dangled from the ceiling. On the far wall, someone had scratched words deep into the plaster. "They never left." The whispers grew louder, now more voices, layered over each other, moaning, crying, laughing. Ethan clutched his camera, spinning around, desperate to find the source. Suddenly, the camera screen flickered, and through the static he saw movement, a pale figure standing just behind him. He turned instantly, but there was nothing. Only cold air. Heart pounding, he backed away, hitting a metal bed frame. The noise rang through the room. From the darkness came a faint giggle, the sound of a child. He pointed his flashlight toward the sound. The beam landed on a small wheelchair. It began to move on its own, rolling slowly toward him. The whispers now became screams. The walls pulsed like they were breathing. Ethan stumbled back, dropping his camera. The last thing the lens captured was his terrified face as something unseen dragged him backward into the dark. Then, silence. Only the faint static from the camera remained, recording the empty room.
2 weeks later, a small YouTube channel named Urban Depths uploaded a video titled, "We Found a Lost Camera Inside Blackwood Asylum." The video began with two new faces, Mia and Lucas, a duo of urban explorers known for sneaking into abandoned places. Their voices were shaky as they introduced the footage. "We didn't plan to film this," Mia said, staring straight into the lens. "We were exploring the old Blackwood Asylum when we found something, a camera. Still on, still recording." They exchanged uneasy glances before cutting to the recovered footage, Ethan's last moments. The audience could see the trembling flashlight, the flickering shadows, the faint whispering. The clip ended abruptly when Ethan screamed. Mia paused the playback. "We thought it was a setup, some kind of prank," she whispered. "But then we went to the same corridor, and the whispering, it started again." The screen cut to their exploration. Dust drifted through the beam of their flashlights as they entered the same Ward C, isolation. Every sound echoed endlessly. "Lucas, are you recording?" "Yeah, keep the light steady." The door creaked open, exactly as it had in Ethan's footage. Mia stepped in first, holding the recovered camera in one hand, using it as a guide. The whispers started softly again, faint, almost like the sound of someone breathing right beside her ear. Lucas froze. "Mia, did you hear that?" She nodded, her eyes wide. "It's saying something." The camera caught faint writing on the wall, the same words, "They never left." But beneath it now, new words were freshly scratched into the paint. "He's still here."
Mia gasped. "No way! That wasn't here before." Suddenly, from the far end of the corridor, a distant clanging echoed, metal striking metal, like someone dragging chains. Their flashlights flickered. "Let's just go," Lucas hissed. "This place isn't safe." But Mia raised the camera again. "Wait, look, that door." A cell door slightly ajar was moving, opening and closing, slowly, rhythmically. Lucas approached it, trembling. "There's no wind in here," he whispered. He pushed it open, revealing an empty room. On the floor lay Ethan's broken phone, its screen still faintly glowing. Suddenly, the camera began to glitch, showing static and distorted figures for a fraction of a second. Silhouettes standing in the doorway, faces blurred, hollow-eyed. Mia screamed. Lucas turned around, but the doorway was empty again. The flashlight flickered violently, then the feed cut to black. When the video returned, they were both gone. The camera lay on the ground, still recording. From somewhere deep in the hallway, a faint whisper came through. "Join us." Then silence.
3 months after the disappearance of Mia and Lucas, Blackboard Asylum became an online obsession. Reddit threads exploded with theories, demonic rituals, government experiments, cursed patients. The original Urban Depths footage had vanished mysteriously, but re-uploads and reaction videos spread everywhere. A true crime journalist named Erin Voss decided to go deeper. She wasn't a ghost hunter, she was a skeptic. Her channel, Truth Unmasked, specialized in debunking urban myths. And she had one goal: expose Blackboard as a viral hoax. Armed with high-end cameras, thermal scanners, and a drone, Erin drove through the fog-covered countryside toward the asylum. The air grew colder as she approached the rusted gates. Her car radio flickered, static, then faint voices overlapping. She switched it off. "This is where rumors die," she said into her mic. "Let's find out what really happened to those kids." Inside, the asylum looked worse than the videos showed. Walls peeled like burned flesh. The stench of rot hung thick. Her footsteps echoed endlessly through the empty halls. She found the old Ward C corridor first. The words still marked the wall. They never left. But now, the new inscription below it had changed. It read, "Welcome back." Her breath caught. No way! Someone's been here. The thermal camera showed cold spots moving. Not random, but walking. She panned the light around, whispering, "If this is a prank, it's elaborate as hell." The corridor suddenly filled with static from her radio. The same phrase looped. "Join us. Join us. Join us." Then the voice shifted. It was Ethan's. "Why did you come back?" Erin froze. "What the—" Her camera feed flickered, showing movement in another wing. Figures, 5 of them, standing motionless in a room. She zoomed in. Their faces were pale, twisted, expressionless. Ethan, Mia, Lucas, and 2 others she couldn't identify. Their eyes were open, staring directly into the drone's camera. Suddenly, the drone feed went black. Erin's flashlight flickered again. A loud metallic slam echoed from behind. The asylum's doors had closed on their own. Her breathing quickened. "Okay, stay calm, stay calm." She turned the corner, and there they were. The 5 figures, standing under a flickering light, soaked in shadow. Mia's lips moved, slow and lifeless. "You came to find the truth." And Ethan's voice followed, echoing from everywhere at once. "Now, you're part of it." Her camera shook violently, blurry figures lunging forward, screams blending with static. The last frame before the footage ended showed Erin's camera lying on the ground, recording an empty hallway. Then, a faint whisper close to the mic. "Blackwood welcomes you home." Heute later, the video, "The Return to Blackwood," appeared on an anonymous channel. Nobody knows who uploaded it. Comments were disabled. Views, 6.6 million in the first 24 hours. And under the video, in the description, there was only one sentence. "They never left.